Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends on wherever you are joining from. My name is Teemu Nivelän. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Vector.io. Welcome all to our very first global webinar. Today I show how BIM geospatial survey data come together in one single browser view with real project use cases. And at the end, we will wrap up with a Q&A session, so please drop your questions in the chat box at any time during my presentation. Here's what we cover in next 30-35 minutes. BIM meets reality. First, how we put models and reality captures, point clouds, photogrammetry into one browser view, so everyone works from the same context. Second, forget 2D drawings. How to cut cross-sections anywhere from BIM, point clouds, or photogrammetry. Seeing 2D and 3D together and sharing results instantly with other users. And third, last but not least, you can manage what you can't measure. How to turn those visuals into numbers, with quantity takeoffs available to the whole team, not just for the specialist. Before we dive into those three teams, here's the simple workflow behind every demo today. So our workflows follow a very simple three-step model. First, integrate and combine data. Bring BIM, GIS, and survey data into one consistent view. Second, measure, analyze, and take quantities. Make numbers available to everyone. And third, communicate and collaborate. Share the exact view with measurements, comments, and agree faster. So let's see what data we bring in and how it flows into Vector.io. First of all, under the hood, three foundations make this work better than any other software in the market. First of all, we have an extremely broad format support. You can see here a list of different data formats. I won't go through all of them. However, and secondly, easy access in the browser on any device without any installations. Third, performance at any scale. Large models, reality capture stay responsive, so field users are comfortable, even their own mobile devices. These are the non-negotiables for real digitalization adoption on the field. Now, how that all data actually appear in Vector.io. So we sit on top of your existing ecosystem. So there is already existing integration to your CDE system, SharePoint, Emphasis, Autodesk Construction Cloud, Bentley ProjectWise, Trimble Connect. Those are the major ecosystems in our industry. So the result, your team opens a project in Vector.io in their browser, and the right data is just there. I would say almost 90% of our existing projects, they have already some kind of a document management CD system in place where we have integrated Vector.io. The first clip, I go here and I stop here for a second. This is a Vector.io user interface. First of all, I want to say here in the beginning that I will show video clips, but most of them, except that I have a couple of videos that I have done some edits, but the rest of those are live recordings. So you can see the real impression how everything works in practice. So this example is very typical project for us. Linear construction, massive project, including hundreds or even thousands of files. It's geolocated and it locates down in Helsinki. So here, first of all, you can utilize in your GIS information as a VMS, VMTS map layers. In this particular case, I opened orthophoto. And here you can search by name of your files. For example, here I made an example that I open all IFC files and everything happens in seconds. XML files, DW files, and so on. And if you're zooming in the smallest details, everything works very smoothly. So this is a good example how we can combine different kind of data formats in one single view, very performant way. Good. Let's go first theme, BIM meets reality. What does BIM meets reality mean for our user? First, it gives a one consistent view for everyone. We put BIM models and reality captures, point clouds, and photogrammetry into the same browser scene. Because design and as-built live together, you can run quick deviation checks and act immediately. So I have examples how we can compare design and as-built information later on. And in the field, the same context is available on a phone or tablet via augmented reality. So let me show a few short clips of this in action. First of all, here we have a real case from Helsinki downtown. This is a hospital, massive hospital project, including photogrammetry combined with multiple IFC files. As you can see, again, everything smooths really nice. Everything works and happened in seconds. Even you're rotating multiple IFC files and a very photorealistic, accurate photogrammetry data together. Good. I have here the same area with design models only. You can understand the geometry, but you're still guessing where is the ground. What's excavated, what stage on site, where access is tied, etc. Now let's place the real site underneath. So the same scene, now with a drone-based photogrammetry. Under the models, instantly you see what's actually there. Excavation edges, access routes, stockpiles, temporary works, etc. It's the same coordinate space, so the model aligns with the surface. You can make confident calls on where to cut, where to pour or route. And quick click to show that vector is not just a viewer. You can, of course, combining, that's already adding value to our customer. But beyond viewing, you can get the measurements, sections, quantities, plus you can share these views with your stakeholders, your colleagues, other users in Vector.io. So we will dive in a little bit more detailed measuring and quantity takeoffs and the cross sections, but here is the kind of first appetizer, how you can add in measurements, coordinates, both for survey data and the BIM models in one single view. Photogrammetry gives us trustworthy as-built surface in the browser. When you walk the site, AR gives the same context on a phone and on the other words, from the site reality on the screen to the site reality on the ground. So let's switch to the AR example. So this AR is everyone's pocket, and it doesn't rely on GPS. We anchor it with 2 known points. So accuracy isn't millimeter or even centimeter survey grade, and it doesn't need to be. It's good enough for work planning, orientation, clearance, and kind of a does it fit here checks. So for setting out or as-built verification, you would still use survey instruments. AR gives you the fast, shared visual context on your site. So next, this clip shows the deviation analyze tool in Vector.io. So we're comparing as-built surface. In this particular case, it's a last point cloud against design data. In this case, we have multiple DWG files, but it could be XML or IFC files. You can see here on the left-hand side, you had a design model, and on the right-hand side, you have a list of the multiple LAS files. And you saw that we can switch so-called live preview, and you can instantly see the result. What are out of the tolerances and what are within the tolerances with the heat map. And you can adjusting the tolerances, multiple tolerances here. So this is a tunnel example, but exactly the same tool can be applied to any structure. inside a building, road, bridges, etc. So here you can see that we have an alignment. This is a linear construction. And now we run sort of a more accurate deviation analyze, and it creates additional loss file, sort of deviation loss file, which can be then displayed in the 3D and in 2D cross-section. So you can adjusting right station number, and you can simultaneously look at it results in the 3D view and here in the 2D section. In the next scene, we will dive in more detailed in this cross section, but here you can see that how it can be utilized in the deviation analyze. We can measuring, we can snap between the points and the design model, and all these results can be shared with your stakeholders, colleagues via shared views or the quick links. I will go that a little bit later, how that works in practice. Good. All right, to wrap up BIM meets reality, some practical benefits. One live scene. Everyone looks at the same browser view, not sort of a screenshot ping pong game. There is less side trips. Designers can answer questions remotely with up-to-date visuals. Trustable numbers. Deviation checks turn visuals into defensible deltas for owner or owner between contractor, contractor between subcontractor. And on-site, AR with 2-point anchoring, no GPS, gives a planning grade alignment to validate fit and clearness before work starts. Next, we turn to BIM models and this reality data sections on demand. So we go to the Forget 2D Drawings team. Sorry. The title is a bit provocative. We don't claim drawings disappears overnight. Our vision is to reduce dependence on static sheets as models get richer, because Vector lets you create drawing-like views directly from the model. You can cut sections anywhere and show it in 2D and 3D simultaneously and measure in that context. Then you can share the exact view in the seconds. And even where drawings remain, this sits alongside them and removes them step by step. As I said, we don't expect drawings to disappear overnight. So here, first example, how you can use our cross-section tool. And the first example is based on the alignment. So once you have select alignment, you saw already briefly in a deviation analyze example, but here you can see the road model, or actually multiple IFC and XML models combined together. You can zoom in the smallest details. And then you can activate one of our measuring tools, either in the 3D view or in cross-section view. You can adjusting right station you are interested in by clicking back and forth, or just to type it like here, 12,200, and now it's exactly the right location. So then we can zoom into details, for example, some pipes or manholes, and you can snap in any object here. It's good to note that you can snap even in the center point of your IFC object. You can get the slope information automatically. And as I already said, that everything you do here, you're adding the measurements, anything, you can share these results with other users. So you can adding the coordinates points. And once you have done your measurements, you can create share views with your colleagues. Here you have a dialog where you can adding the views, and you can share these views with specific person or the user groups, or then you can share with the quick links. So this quick link could be used, for example, even in this team session. If I adding this quick link in our Teams chat box and you are invited to this particular project, you can open exactly the same result that I see, and you can continue work. By the way, if you still need drawings, we can place and scale PDF sheets on the map or use floor plans per building level. We won't dive into this today, but it's there when you need it. Just wanted to make sure that if you are interested, we can come back to this in Q&A session. So you saw already how you can create their cross sections based on the alignment, but you can do this exactly the same based on any surface in your model. So here, for example, in the building project, very classic example that you want to measure ventilation duct distance to the floor. So you can type it exact distance from the certain surface, and you can get a cross section in the 2D section view and the 3D view parallel simultaneously. Let's go a little bit more extreme and more detailed example. This is a huge bridge project, and it's a fully detailed. Every rebars are in place. So here, very classic example that you want to measuring, for example, the center to center between the rebars, or measuring the distance between the rebar and the concrete. So you can go even in this level of details with the cross section and our measuring tools. And same applies again, that these results can be shared to the field. Good. Let's move on. Key benefits. To wrap up this theme, the shift is from static sheets to on-demand sections. We create precise cut where the work happens. Each section shows 2D and 3D together. BIM with photogrammetry/point clouds. We measure in the section, levels, distances, slopes, and share that exact view with the link instead of changing PDFs. And I want to emphasize again, we are not claiming the drawings are gone overnight, but these drawing-like views already reduce need for drawings, and it adds more value to the site crew. Last theme, you can manage what you can measure. This theme is about turning their shared views into numbers you can defend. First, we calculate cut and fill directly against reality capture or design surfaces. Second, we take quantities from the model, both from geometry and from BIM properties. Each result are repeatable and shareable. The same view, the same inputs, the same outcome. Let's start with the volume calculation on real site and get cut and fill calculation directly from the photogrammetry surface. So I trace the area by clicking points. The tool builds a surface for the calculation. Against photogrammetry, we get a color map. Red is a cut and the blue is a fill. The results are listed, and you can get the volumes, and you can share these results with your colleagues, your stakeholders, your clients, etc. Good. Now I compare design, excavation. Wait a second, I stop here for a second. I compare design, excavation surface. In this particular case, it's an XML file model with the current ground from the point clouds. So I select the reference, that's the XML file, and then I click a polygon, like here. After then, it calculates results, cut and fill. Here are the volumes, areas, average dips for the exact polygon. Because the view and inputs are saved, reference surface and the polygon, the results are repeatable and shareable with other users. Next, let's switch from surfaces to BIM-driven quantities. So here we have a big IFC model, structural model. I stop here for a second again. So I selected one single object. It's a footing. And you can see the list of all the properties associated with this single object. You can see that the name of the object is the footing, and I can filter out all the footings, and they are immediately displayed in the 3D view. Then I can open data table And data table lists all these visible objects in the 3D view immediately on this list. And you can group it by any properties and you can colorize it accordingly. So you can get all the quantity takeoffs and export these results to the Excel. So here we're utilizing properties designer has published from the authoring software, and we have combined all these disciplines in the Vector.io. However, if you don't have those properties, no problem. We can calculate volumes, areas, distances also directly from the geometry. And specifically, this is a very useful tool once you have a little bit more complex geometry. If you have a penetrations, you have some curve structure, we can handle all of them. According to feedback from our customers, there's sometimes some misunderstandings or some actually mistakes in design models. So our customer, they have started to checking with our dimension tool, specifically volumes and the areas for a complex structure. And this is a good example. You have a little bit penetrations, curve structures, and you can get all these volumes and areas with our dimension tools. So one more example about how to utilize in the BIM properties. We open again data table, and here we have tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands rebars. And you can see the performance, that how fast we're listing all the objects here in our data table. And you can group, you can create a different kind of hierarchies of your information based on the cast unit mark, shape, size of your rebars, etc. And this information can be exported to Excel, or you can filter out, you can colorizing, and so on. So here you have a possibility to export to Excel. And it automatically opens the Excel, and you can get there either flat list of your objects, or you can get the groups that you have defined in a data table. All right, to wrap up this theme, we'll bring quantity workflows into one place, cut and fill against reality data and model-based takeoffs from geometry and properties. And it works even with so-called dump models. If you don't have a properties, you can still calculating the volumes, areas, lengths directly from geometry. Results are traceable and shareable. Same view and inputs keep the same numbers, and every row highlights the real 3D elements. And because it runs in the browser, not just the specialist, but the whole team can measure, validate, and share results. All right, we are almost in the end. And but let's quick recap before the Q&A session. The big points from today. We brought BIM and reality captures into one browser scene. We moved from the static sheets to on-demand sections with 2D and 3D together. We turned views into numbers, cut and fill, geometry, and the BIM property quantities. On site, AR gives a planning grade alignment without GPS. And because the view and inputs are safe, results are easy to share with all the users. A quick note, I showed these workflows via short videos to keep the webinar on time, but if you book a private demo, we will run it live. And if you are comfortable, we can use your own data. Saying that, if this looks useful, there are two easy next steps. Either you can book a live demo, just scan the QR code, or request a 14 days trial. You can just scan the QR code, but we will drop these both links in the chat as well. Thank you. Let's move to Q&A. And I hope you have already dropped your questions in the chat room or box, but happy to go deeper on anything I have showed you. Let's stop sharing my presentation, and I have hopefully some questions here. Any questions? There's do you have a to-do functionality like a Trimble Connect? That question doesn't surprise me much. And can you share how export live view from 2D sections to AutoCAD? We can export those 2D sections as a DXF, so you can get those AutoCAD or any similar CAD system. To do, actually, this is something that we are working on right now. Many of our existing customers have been asking for such a to-do concept like Trimble Connect has, and some other similar products. And yeah, in my videos that I didn't show how this 2D section happens, but there is a button that you can export as a DXF. And you can get both design models and the survey data like a point clouds through a DXF. Do you have a map view 2D? How do you represent annotation in 3D? Do you integrate objects as mileage kilometer points for infrastructure? We have a map view, as you saw that in the beginning. We have a sort of a 2D mode. We don't have a separate window for 2D and 3D, but you can switch between 2D and 3D mode. And that's why we're avoiding jumping from one view another. We have a mileage kilometer points if you have those alignments that I showed in the cross-section example. Do you have an integration to design software, like a direct integration that you could able to publish, for example, IFC from Revit or something? No, we do not have. Typically, our customer have one of those CD systems that I told you in the beginning of my presentation, that you can synchronizing data from, for example, from ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud, or Trimble Connect, Bentley project-wise. So that's their typical workflow from the design to the site. Will it be possible to add own metadata information to the model items? This is something that we are very close to release it, part of the data table. So there will be possibility to adding your own user-defined attributes. And after then you can, of course, utilizing those in the data table, filtering based on your own attributes, for example. Yeah. Can you show how you obtain object properties in the viewer? And are you able to export these to, for instance, Excel formats? Yes, as I showed you in the data table, you can select or you can define your own preset. If you have, for example, if you want to look at the properties of a concrete, you have a separate preset for the concrete. And of course, you have a completely different properties for rebars. So you can have those predefined presets for each different kind of object types or structures. Can you also be linked to the, wait a second, cut in the CDA? For the time being, no, we do not have. I have received the same request from some other customer. We have an API. If there is a business case, that's of course doable. So we have time to time develop those integrations. So we have some, for example, Finnish specific integrations to local software. Can you change existing properties data into models? I think this is pretty much the same question that I had. I'm not sure if I understood. By the way, we'll come back to these questions, and I hope you can leave your contact details or book the demo or request the trial, so I can, if I can answer all these questions, we can come back to. And I might need some technical support from our team. Can you create groups for different models in the model browser, such as a bridge design, civil engineer, ground model, etc., and type of version control for identical models, such as comparing new bridge model with older bridge model? The deviation analyze tool, you can compare two XML or IFC files in with this live preview, but I'm not sure that is this something that you're specifically looking for. I would like to come back to this particular questions later on. Anything else? Anything else? What about collision controls? We do not have a tool checking, for example, classes, physical classes between the two IFC models, something on our roadmap, but this year we have been focusing on more comparing as-built and the design model, as I demonstrated to you with this deviation analyze tool, but something that time to time we hearing from our customers. Yeah, you can edit views. That if you want to save the views, you want to changing something, that you can save the view or the changes in the view. Is it possible to prioritize certain attributes within the property dataset? So I can only see the attributes that I have chosen in advance when I click objects. Wait a second, I need to read this again. So I can only see the attributes that I have chosen in advance when I click objects. So I don't know, is this exactly what you're looking for, but something that I didn't show you. Of course, there's a lot of details, and that's why we're offering possibility of having one-to-one private demo. But we have a so-called label feature that you can define properties on the property list that you would like to display in a 3D view. So you can then see the certain properties in the 3D view. So that can be done for all visible objects in 3D view or for selected objects. Yeah, 3D tiles. Can you view 3D tiles coming from an external provider, such as CSUM, IN account? That photogrammetry I showed you in my presentation, that was actually 3D tiles format. Favoriting properties. Yes, you can add favorite properties. That there you go to the up on the list. So you can do both favorites, but you can then have also these labels in 3D view. Of course, they can be the same, that you have a favorites displayed in 3D view. Thanks for the correction. Anything else? There's time if you have more questions, and you can of course come back to afterwards. Good. Hey, if not, seems that there's no any more questions. Thank you for everyone for your attention, and I encourage you to contact us if you want to see live demonstration based on your use cases or even with your own data, or then just request a 14 days trial access to Vector.io. Thank you. Thank you very much.